Sustainability is kind of an interesting word. It's something that flows easily when you say it, but it means different things to everybody. Everybody has a different interpretation of sustainability. Is the practice profitable for the business, for the operation, that it can be sustained over a period of time, and is it repeatable? Can you do it year after year and it does what it's supposed to do, and the goal is to do something better or improve quality? Does it do that? And some of the things we were doing then probably weren't appropriate, and one of them being with nitrates in the water. We were over applying nitrogen, but now we know that the consequences of that is we're getting higher nitrates in our groundwater. So trying to monitor that, to manage that, so that that is not something that we continue to cause a problem with, that we can over time try to make that a better situation. The important thing is that we have something growing out there year-round, and so it keeps that soil in a more healthy state.
Well, I'd say, it's making sure that our resources for farming are here, not just for our careers, but for the next generation and generations to come. And a lot of times sustainability, the first thing that comes to mind is clean air, clean water, good soil, and that's important. That's obviously the foundation, but also the economic sustainability, because if we can't make this work economically, then it doesn't really matter if it is good for everything else if we can't actually use it and make a living at it.
But a lot of it going back to the economic sustainability and making sure that this ground is viable for the next generation, and the next generation after that. And it's just a matter of tweaking the environment a little bit, say, okay, what can we do to make things better? What can we do to make not just the land more productive, but to make sure that as the water's flowing down the rivers, that it's clean, that we have soil that's highly productive over the next 100 years.
As farmers, we have to fight against nature in a lot of ways. We also learn to work with nature, and that's what we're talking about, cover crops, and talking about soil moisture monitoring, and using nature to benefit what we're doing. And that's where the sustainability comes in. It's conservative and progressive at the same time. To farm in this part of the world, we definitely need clean and available water. We need to make sure we're taking care of our underground water and our surface water as well as we can, because without that, farming changes a lot out here. And so the water quality is probably priority number one when I think about what we need in this part of the world.
I look at it from the perspective of, here I am just starting out farming, and what I kind of would like to see is, we have a lot of people that we're going to have to feed by the year 2050, and but we need to make sure that we're doing that in a way that, we're not depleting our resources to the point where we won't be able to take care of the world population and make sure that there's enough food to go around. So by using sustainable management practices, we want to be able to be more productive with less resources and less land in order to, be efficient in our production. We learn more and more all the time about how we could be more sustainable. Well, I don't know if you can really single any one out and say that it's more important than the others. A lot of those factors actually go hand in hand. So my dad talked about we use no-till, so we make better use of the water we receive as rainfall. In turn, that means we can operate our irrigation systems less, which uses less water from the aquifers, which also creates less greenhouse gases since we have to run the machines less. So you just have a more living, healthy soil. So they really all kind of go hand in hand, which is kind of why we try to do them all.
I guess probably the most important to me is the soil, because that's where everything starts. And so if we do a good job of being good stewards of our soil, and then we do less pollution, have less potential for pollution, as well as the productivity and future productivity of our crops will be better.
For our irrigation, we have moisture sensors that we put in our fields that measure the amount of moisture in the soil. And that kind of has changed where, 20 years ago, a lot of that was done where, you just take a soil probe and feel how much moisture you thought, and if you thought it was too dry, then you watered. Where now we actually can quantify the amount of water that's in the soil and available to the crops. So what that lets us do is we can only operate our pivots when we're sure that we need to apply some water so that the crops can stay healthy. Technology in agriculture has changed quite a bit, especially over the last 15 years. There's a lot of they call it site-specific crop management now. So, in years past they looked at managing fields as a whole, let's do this management practice on this whole field. Well, the new trend in agriculture is actually to manage fields on a smaller level. One thing that a lot of people are doing now is they're using satellite imagery to measure crop health, and so we can go and watch the crop progress throughout the growing season and identify issues in little areas of the field and see what we can do to correct them. Another way we do that is we do grid sampling on some of our fields so we can look at the different nutrients available in the soil in different areas and only apply fertilizer or nutrients in the amount needed where they're needed so that the crops receive the highest efficiency from the input we're applying. People always need to eat, but we need to be here so we can still be farming in 100 years when people will still be needing to eat.